Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here to present my research work about automatic discovery of multi-word nouns based on syntactic semantic representation. And I'm Dr. Xiaoqin at Beijing Language and Culture University. So the outline of my presentation is the following. First, I will present a brief introduction, and then literature review, the methodology, evaluation results, and finally, the conclusion. First, I will give a brief definition of multi-word nouns. Multi-word nouns are a category of multi-word expressions that consist of multiple lexemes, but display lexical, syntactic, semantic, and pragmatic automaticity. Automatic multi-word nouns discovery aims to discover new multi-word nouns, or we can say more precisely, new types of the multi-word nouns in text corpora, different from multi-word noun identification, which aims to automatically annotate multi-word nouns in running text by associating them with non-multi-word nouns. So we have some problems in this domain. Well, the standard approach anagram classification based on association measures is not straightforward for long trunks. And the approaches that exploiting non-compositionality, or we can say idiomaticity of multi-word expressions, are less beneficial for compositional multi-word nouns. On the contrary, there exists a large number of compositional multi-word nouns in French. Then, joint parsing models, such as machine translation or post-tagging or multi-word expression processing, including identification and discovery. Multi-word nouns do not exhibit discontinuity characteristics, so benefit less from these joint parsing models. So our research aims to exploit a deeper representation of the internal structures and semantics of multi-word nouns to improve multi-word noun discovery. And I will present briefly the literature. The standard approach anagram classification methods based on word co-occurrence measures, but the shortcomings are overlook the internal multi-word noun hierarchy. Sequences with more than n can be missed, or the accuracy is decreased if the defined number of grams is redundant. And finally, it's very sensitive to low frequency, to the words of low frequency. And then rule-based approaches, such as some approaches which exploit morphosyntactic patterns, and the shortcomings are they always based on the unstratified descriptions without considering the internal hierarchy. And they can rarely handle embedded multi-word nouns, and difficult to, and the morphosyntactic descriptions are difficult to exhaustively for describing the internal structures of multi-word nouns. And finally, we have a very important approach that is a linguistic knowledge-based methods. These methods are based on morphosyntactic idiosyncratic properties, or morphosyntactical features, or some semantic features, semantic field information, such as the work of Reason and all in 2004. And the shortcomings of this kind of methods is that the pre-established linguistic resource is often very costly, and there's still no solution for embedding multi-word nouns. And the methodology in our research Well, this is a work. This is my proper work, and I did work about multiword nouns. I conducted an annotation of 3,669 non-multiword nouns, including many embedded multiword nouns. And I argued that a complex structure, for example, noun phrase or multiword noun or a preposition phrase, can be embedded as constituent in a multiword noun. For example, I have 3 examples here. This is a multiword noun in French, assistant service généraux. That means a general service assistant. So here we embed a complex structure. This is the noun phrase, general service. And I'm sorry. And here we embedded a structure which is a multiword noun. For example, headlamp. Here, lampe frontale. This is a multiword noun in French, and this multiword noun is embedded as a constituent in another multiword noun, lampe frontale LED. That means headlamp LED. And this multiword noun is embedded as constituent again in another multiword noun, headlamp LED USB. So the same thing for the third example, pomme de terre, that means potato in French. And this prepositional phrase of de terre, that means of de, this is a preposition, and this is just a preposition phrase, and in whole, that means potato. So the second argument is that most of these multiword nouns are limited to 3 levels embedding. That means we can embed in 3 levels, and 4 levels too much for understanding, for a human comprehension. So those over 4 or more levels are rarely seen. And then the third argument is that the semantic class is defined as a set of lexical units that share a series of common syntactic semantic properties. Here is an example about semantic class. For example, book, article, novel, essay, etc., etc. They belong to the semantic class text. They share a series of common syntactic and semantic properties. And finally, the argument is the semantic relation property specifies a particular object or being and normal group's semantic class. Here are some examples. This is Saxon glove. So glove, clothes. It's the semantic class of this word glove is clothes, and Saxon, its semantic class material, and the combination of a pair of semantic classes represent the semantic relation between these 2 constituents in the multiword nouns. And now I will present the resources that we applied for improving the automatic discovery of multiword nouns. First, about the corpus. The corpus should contain a large number of multiword nouns with a great variety of types. Different genres, because our aim, our purpose is to discover as more as possible some new types of multiword nouns, especially the new words. And different genres of text were selected, such as news, guides, blogs, etc., concerning various subjects from web communities, some such as Comment ça marche, CNET France, and Doctissimo. And a total of 11,274 sentences covering various kinds of vocabularies are collected. Many new multi-word nouns that are not registered in the dictionary are included in our corpus. And the corpus was clean and did not contain duplicates. Then we need the Stanford log linear part-per-speech tagger for tokenization and post-tagging, but this model cannot provide morphosyntactic information for lemmatization. So we applied the French This is a lexical resource describing morphosyntactic and semantic information with simple and compound entries for lemmatization. And then we need the use. We need the lexical resource of compound nouns elaborated by who. This is also my work, my personal work, and for generating the rules, including the rules of syntactical constraints and the rules of semantic constraints. I will present the rules in the following parts. And finally, we need WORF. This is a free French wordnet, which is automatically translated from a wordnet and then corrected, verified by the human experts. We need WORF for semantic category annotation. And here the semantic category is defined as, the semantic class is defined as semantic category. So here is an example of the lexical resource of compound nouns. And in this lexical resource, each entry, each multi-word noun is annotated with morphosyntactic information, including the hierarchy. For example, here, a fut couteau, this is a verb in the French, a verb noun structure. And then this verb noun structure is a multi-word noun. And here, ouvre boîte, this verb noun structure is a multi-word noun too. And these two multi-word noun is concatenated for forming a new multi-word noun. So open box, sharpen knife, if we translate them word to word, that means bottle opener and knife sharpener. And each entry is associated with a series of semantic information. For example, here, subo, this is a tagger for indicating the semantic relation. And here, vehicle container plus person, this is a combination of semantic classes. And then we give a very brief definition for each entry. Well, and then I will present how to generate the rules. So the rules include two parts: rules of categorical constraints and rules of semantic constraints. So different patterns of noun compounds are extracted from the lexical resource of who. The internal hierarchy is indicated by the index numbers of the grammatical calls in the sequence. I have a table here. So the internal structure is represented by the grammatical calls. This is also called pattern. And we added the index numbers with some symbols for representing the hierarchy of for representing the internal hierarchy of the multi-word noun. So this symbol refers to the highest level, and hyphen implies a lower level, and title indicates the lowest level in the hierarchy of a compound noun. We come back for the use of semantic constraints. So the hyphen names are taken as a semantic class of the entries involved. For polysemous words, only the most frequent meaning is adopted. The closest hyphen name is defined as a direct hyphen name, and the others are inherited hyphen names. And we generate this resource from a wolf. This resource is called Semantic Category Resource, and it's used for annotating the semantic category of each constituent in a multi-word noun. Then the semantic category of constituents of each entry in the lexical resource value is annotated with the support of the semantic category resource. Then each entry is associated with some levels of semantic class combinations according to the internal hierarchy extracted. And we call the resource obtained from this process semantic relationships. Well, here it's an example of the problem that we encountered for elaborating the two resources here, semantic category resource and semantic relationships. For example, fork, cloud, rate, table, where, and where, there are 4 entries in WordNet. And we find that if we try to align these 4 entries, we find a dislocation because cutlery is the hypernym of fork, and tableware is a hypernym of cutlery. Where is a hypernym of tableware? So we can find where is here, article is here. We find a dislocation. So this is a dislocation of the semantic category between hypernyms registered in WordNet. And for some entries which have different semantic natures, we define the hypernyms different in a different way. So we found the dislocation too. For example, dress, box, idea, event. We can find their direct hypernyms is different, but they tend to have the same hypernym, the most general hypernym at the end. So we find this dislocation between the entries of different semantic natures in WordNet too. So we provide a very simple solution that we replace the direct hypernyms for aligning the entries. Here, where we replace 1 time, article we replace 2 times because there are 2 vacancies, and contain 3 times, entity because entity have only 1 hypernym, that is entity, and we replace entity 8 times for aligning these 5 entries. And in the word night, we find the longest the entry which has the longest hyphens is 14. So we defined 14 levels of semantic classes from the highest to the cost. And here it's processing. So we do our pre-processing, including post-tagging and lemmatization. Then we extract the candidate by applying the use of categorical constraints, and we remain the hierarchy in the in each multiword candidate. And then we applied the rules of semantic constraints for generating the semantic features. Finally, we did the training and classification. And this is the rules of semantic category annotation. When we annotate, especially multiword, embedded multiword, which means in the multiword there are several levels of embedding. We applied these rules for annotating. If the constituent is a simple word, now so the semantic class is the semantic class of this noun. If the constituent is a multiword noun, the semantic class of this constituent is equivalent to the semantic class of N1. And for example, multiword nouns, verb noun structure, we take artifact as the semantic class of this constituent, because in French, the verb noun structure generally refers to an artifact noun. And here is an example of the semantic feature of the multiword noun lamp, LED, USB. And here, because lamp, LED, USB has two levels, this is level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is the highest level, and level 2 is the lowest level. The highest level includes a multiword noun in it, lamp, LED. So we take the semantic class of the first noun as the semantic class of this constituent lamp, LED. The lamp, it's a hypernym, appareil, artifact, object, etc. And then the lowest structure is lamp, LED. So we take the semantic class of lamp and the semantic class of LED here. Yes. So each semantic feature, in fact, is a combination of semantic classes. Finally, evaluation and result. We firstly evaluated the method based on rules. We find that at certain levels, for example, from levels 1 to 5, obtained the highest precision, but also the lowest recall. With the coarsening of the granularity, the precision decreases and the recall increases. The precision tended to be stable and decreased slowly when the semantic category was defined at level 7 and 8. The full score reached the highest when the semantic array was defined at level 12. And then from level 13, the full score decreased slowly. And then we evaluated the methods based on statistical association measures. And these are some trainers which present better performance than others. But although we can see the recall precision and full score are much poorer comparing to the results obtained by rules here. And then finally, we combined the methods based on rules and the methods based on statistical association measures, and we find that the results are slightly improved. And here are some trainers which present better results than others. We can see the precision and full score were improved indeed. So the conclusion The present research aims to explore the internal structure and semantic relation multiword nouns for improving multiword noun discovery, the extraction of multiword noun candidates, and the linguistically motivated semantic features are based on the rules of the categorical construction and rules of semantic construction, respectively. Both linguistic rules are automatically generated from the pre-expanded knowledge resource. The combination of linguistically motivated semantic features and the statistically motivated semantic feature shows a significant improvement. The presented method is much less dependent on the corpus profile, especially less sensible to low frequency, and more efficient for discovering multiword nouns of complex structures and compositional multiword nouns. The exploration of other types of features, such as features of multiword noun idiosyncratic behavior, can be the focus of the future research. And that's all my presentation. I don't know whether the audience have any questions.